All right. We're going to say Thursday. Thursday morning is probably when most people are going to be listening to this. But this is Drinking Champagne. As usual, I'm joined by my co-host, Andrew Champagne. I'm Josh, Cherry Drank here. It's on the wrong lead, podcast network, or whatever nonsense we want to call this.
Hit all the buttons down below. Hit all the buttons, all of them.
Like, subscribe, download, do all that stuff. Andrew, how's your week been?
Eventful. So I got in a car accident earlier this week. That was not something I would recommend. It was very minor. Everybody's fine. But on Tuesday, Valentine's Day, also my fiance's birthday, I went and I gave her a little bit of a reprieve from the camp program she's helping run with a whole bunch of fifth grade students. It's their outdoor education field trip, and they're at Mount Herman, just north of Santa Cruz in Northern California. Beautiful place. But I went there for the day at a local Starbucks, took my fiance and one of her colleagues to lunch. That was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed that. Mid-afternoon, I start traversing back in the Bay Area through rush hour traffic. My God, I do not miss commuting to and from work. Not at all whatsoever. Very happy to be team remote work. And that's even before what happened just north of San Jose. On a spur connecting the two major freeways that I was taking, I was sitting in rush hour traffic, and I got tapped from behind by a pickup truck. Wasn't all that hard. Felt like bumper cars. It wasn't anything where I was in shock or anything like that, but I knew I had definitely gotten hit. Credit, however, to AAA Insurance, which is the insurance company that the other driver had. Within 24 hours, they had determined, yeah, it's our person's fault. We'll line you up with everything you need. So tomorrow, I am going to take my car in for an estimate, get that to the people that need it. And then after I get back from Hawaii, my car's going into the shop. I'm getting a rental car. Everything's going to be fine. All told, could have been a lot worse. The biggest problem for me personally was that was 45 minutes that I'm never going to get back. And it took a commute that was already way too long and made it 45 minutes longer. I'm finding as I get older, it's not necessarily inconveniences that bother me. It's unnecessary wastes of time. And getting rear-ended when you've done nothing wrong, that's a pretty big waste of time, Josh.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to have been only in one accident.
Knock on wood, throw salt
Knock
over
on
your
wood,
shoulder,
yeah,
turn
do all
around,
that
spit,
stuff,
hurts, whatever you
exactly.
got to do.
I actually did rear end a woman once. It was the lightest tap, and she got out of her car. She looked at her bumper, and was just like, "Oh, it's fine," and just left. But I mean, it was like the lightest tap. We were both driving. Not older cars that had probably 5-6 years old, right? Like maybe I scratched her bumper, but it was it's pretty, just we nothing happened. There was literally no visible damage to either of our cars. So that happened once, and then I got into one actual accident, but yeah, I just it's funny because I kind of think the same way. Just the amount of the amount of stuff that we do now just to save time, you know, with the pandemic, a lot of places, grocery stores started doing pickup, and grocery pickup probably on average runs me, I don't know, maybe $10 to $15 more a trip. Like, we only go once a week, so it's probably about 5 to 10 or 7 to 10% more, right? But just not having to spend that hour in the grocery store, it's like, all right, cool. I'll spend the $10 for the
The
grocery
only
pickup.
thing you've got to worry about with that is making sure you got a good shopper that gets everything you have exactly. My dad did something like that here. He was nice enough to try to get me some new printer cartridges for my printer and wound up having a shopper that got the wrong ones. And if you try to go return those at Staples with like an Instacart or a personal shopper or whatever, it's hell. It's
Hmm.
not easy to do. But if you've got a good shopper, it's absolutely worth it. It's just, it is one of those things that proves one of the great quotes in the history of cinema. And yes, the MCU is cinema. No amount of money ever bought a second of time.
Which movie is that from?
Endgame.
Okay,
Josh,
I haven't seen it.
Josh, boo yourself. Boo
I'm
yourself
not going to boo
right now.
myself. Nope.
Boo yourself right now.
Nope.
Everybody else out there in podcast land or YouTube land, comment down below and boo the hell out of Josh for not having seen Marvel movies. At the very least, that phase. The current phase of Marvel movies, you can take or leave, even though Black Panther 2 was fantastic. How the hell did you not see Endgame?
I've uh I've seen Avengers. How far did I get? Now you got me curious. I forgot where I stopped. Let's see. I'm googling MCU movies.
My head's in
Uh,
my hands for those of you listening.
okay, Iron Man I've seen. Incredible Hulk is not on Disney Plus, so I did not see that. Iron Man 2 I've seen. Thor, Captain America, Avengers. Okay, I've seen those. I've seen Phase 1. Phase 2 is Iron Man 3, which is the dumb one, right?
See, I didn't like Iron Man 2 all that much, but I thought 3 was fine.
The Dark World, which I didn't think was as bad as people
That
said it
one was,
was.
I thought that one was bad. It was bad.
Um, Winter Soldier was very good. It's probably my favorite of the ones.
So here's my problem with Winter Soldier and with a couple of subsequent movies. Up until the Falcon and Winter Soldier series that aired on Disney Plus, I could never get into Bucky Barnes. Never had a reason to care. Just wasn't
Who's
for me. And they
who's
tried
Bucky
to,
Barnes?
the Winter Soldier. My God, man.
Man, dude, you look. I've seen them. Doesn't mean I ever remember them.
Jesus, it's the title character.
Guardians of Galaxy, I have seen, but I saw that I saw the Avengers and I saw Guardians of the Galaxy separate from everything else because we had seen them. I think I saw Avengers. Maybe I saw Avengers in the theaters. Um, but yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy is the newest one I've seen.
You need to find time. You have so much time off at your job. You need to like take a week of vacation. And when people ask where you're going, you say, "Oh, just my couch. Need to catch up on some things."
So
Except
funny.
some things is MCU.
So funny story is uh, I was going ahead and I was looking. I was putting in my time off for the rest of the year. And so we work on the academic calendar.
Yeah,
So our PTO resets sometime in August. I think it's
sure.
like mid to late August.
Yeah.
So I looked, and I have 20 days of PTO left. And so I looked. I'm going to be in Vegas for NHC. So three whatever. So that's I think I took 4 days off for that. We're going to go back to Vegas Memorial Day weekend. So we're going to be there Sunday through Thursday. So I just took the whole week off there. And then we are going to we're myself, Mark Capitan from On the Wrong Lead, and our former On the Wrong Lead compatriot Brian Duransky, Mr. Backclass. We are going to play in a disc golf tournament together in Peoria, Illinois. So it's going to be the three of us. And it's like a week long thing. So I
You're
took the
going to
entire
play
week
in
off.
Peoria? That's the dream for a whole lot of things. Yes, I am secretly 90 years old and get that reference. And if
I
you get that reference, you're listening and or watching to the correct show.
I have no idea what reference that is for.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a history lesson. Back in the olden days, before we were born, one of the things that would be asked in advertising meetings or pitch meetings or whatever is, will this play in Peoria? AKA, will this play in middle America as opposed to the cities on the coast? You're playing in Peoria. You're literally doing what a lot of people have dreamed of doing, finding something that will play in Peoria. And if I know Josh, I'm about to get booed.
Nah, we'll do it. I gotta hit the button harder. Yeah. Um, so though that was already planned, all that time off was planned already, and so I was putting in the additional stuff. So I'm taking some time off around the Derby. Um, I haven't decided if I'm going to go. I know I have friends that live in Louisville who have offered up, hey, like, let us know if you want to come down and stay. And then B, it's just like getting tickets. But I feel like I know enough people that that might not be a problem either. Um, but anyways, I basically took I took like Wednesday through Friday off there, and then I think I'm gonna try and do Belmont. So I'm gonna fly in. I think I took Thursday, Friday off. Fly in Thursday, go to Belmont Friday, Saturday, come back Sunday. Um, and then I took Black Eyed Susan Day off, just so like I can just kind of chill at home. But then like as soon as I put in for it, I'm like, why? Like whatever. So I'll probably just cancel that off. But add up all those days, and that adds up to exactly I think 20 days. So we are. I think we're locked and loaded for the rest of the year. So if I do Saratoga, it sounds like it'll probably be end of the meet. So it might just be that Labor Day weekend, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, you know somebody who's got a little bit of pull there. Just a little. Just a little.
Yeah, definitely just a little. But yeah, speaking of New York racing,
This is going to be fun. This is a good pick five sequence we're looking at here.
yeah, we're gonna take a look at this pick five here at Aqueduct. We got a little bit of a carryover.
Carryover.
That's not really a carryover.
Don't go there. Please don't go there.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm relishing the fact that other people on Twitter are getting involved in flame wars and getting roasted and not me. I'm involved in a couple year streak of this, and I'd like to keep it that way.
What was what did Andy call Ed DeRosa? There was a really
What
good
didn't
nickname,
Andy
but
call
there
Ed
was a
DeRosa?
really good nickname in there that he called him.
One of them was Minister of Disinformation.
Yes, Minister of Disinformation. That was great. I
Well,
mean, completely false, but I love it.
yeah,
I love it.
it's one of those things. And look, I know Andy a little bit. Whether anyone wants to admit it or not, I have seen it. There's a good human being in there. I don't know if you saw this, Josh, but I tweeted something earlier this evening, and it applies to a lot of horse racing Twitter. And that is that I will never understand something that's very prevalent in our neck of the woods. If you think someone is, for lack of a better term, an attention whore, why do you keep tweeting and giving them and their platform attention? What are you trying to accomplish? I don't think this works.
I just find it funny.
It, in a certain sense, it is, but it's one of those instances where you look at both sides and you go, "Oh God, both of these guys." You don't want anything good.
Oh my goodness, Andrew Trump, both sides.
Oh, for the love of God! If you
That's
ever, and I mean ever, say anything that invokes me and Trump in the same breath, good Lord. Okay, I'm making a mental note of this now, Josh. Okay. Things not to tell Josh about Saratoga. Okay. Step one, you're going to want to drink the Big Red Spring Water. It is delicious.
I've never had it.
If you know, you know.
Very sulfury, right?
I'm not going to say a word other than it's life changing.
Have you ever had Malort?
No.
No.
Do they
Okay.
brew it in the back of a hardware store?
There's rumors, but
Okay.
it's this liquor that is made in Chicago, or at least it used to be made in Chicago. I don't really know where it's made anymore. Maybe it still is, but it's like a Chicago thing, and it's supposed to be just like absolutely awful, right? It's like maybe I think it might be wormwood and some other like it's very herbal. right? To the point of being bitter. I had it. I've only had it once, and it was at Revolution Brewing, and it was a special batch that they aged in Revolution Brewing beer barrels that had an IPA in it before. So to me, it tasted kind of IPA ish with like weird herb tasting stuff. It wasn't that bad, but my friends just say it's just absolutely horrible. But it's a Chicago thing. I don't know. Also, before we get into this, I do have to mention this because this was just wild to me, and I actually have to tell somebody. I completely forgot about this. So I was on a call with my boss, and it was our team call, right? So it's probably like 12 of us on here, and my boss goes, "Hey, everybody," and so I replied with I think the only way that you can reply to somebody saying, "Hey, everybody," which is, "Hey, Doctor Nick." Everybody looked at me blankly. Only my boss laughed. Nobody had any idea what I had just referenced.
I don't either.
You've never seen this? You don't watch The Simpsons?
Oh, okay. I just
Right?
needed a
Hi,
jogger.
everybody.
Got it. Okay.
Hi, Doctor. Oh my
Fair. All
goodness.
right. It took a minute. It took a minute. Most of my bandwidth has been spent playing Delta Town today. I actually did okay there, made a couple of bucks, and handicapping this early pick five sequence at Aqueduct for Friday. Again, big carryover. And if you had any part of the first five races on Sunday, I tip my cap to you because those winners were otherwise thoroughly impossible, especially the winners of races 4 and 5, if I'm remembering correctly. There are some times where you can look at a race after a race is run and find things that justify a 30-1 shot. These were not those horses. That was fantastic handicapping if you got there. As far as the pick five goes, though, nobody did. And that's why we're carrying things over to the early pick five on Friday at Aqueduct that starts in race number one. We start things off with a field of six here. And I Spooky is supposed to be favored and probably will. 4 to 5. It's a pleasure horse. I get why this horse is going to go favored, but I see a question mark in two ways, Josh. Tell me how you're seeing it.
Yeah, so I am taking the Caleb Knight approach to this race. Um, and this is kind of something like some stuff that Caleb has said numerous times, and I really kind of believe it. Um, these super trainers, if they have a horse that hasn't broken their maiden by their third start, you should just like if they're coming back at a short price, you should probably look elsewhere. I mean, like it's gonna be an underlay. 4 to 5 is a huge underlay on this horse, especially. I mean, and I looked at Brisnet and I saw two other horses that almost looked indistinguishable to this too. I had to go and reference DRF because sometimes maybe, hey, maybe the buyers are just like astronomical for this too. Here, sound spooky. They are not. There are two other horses in this race that I think are just as likely a winner as the two. The two is going to be 4 to 5. I'll take the other two, and we're going to fade this 4 to 5 shot. The three Stormandy here is, I think, is going to be your second choice here. Is 3 to 1 in the book. The race two back fits. It was it the slop? Was it was it going 7 furlongs, just kind of improving on that? I'm not really sure. Charlie Baker is really good third off the layoff, though. So, I had to include this one based off that race two back. Um, I think my top choice is going to be the 6 horse, Steady Progress. Has run 3 times, and seems to have kind of figured it out according to that last time, going that mile distance. And is going to be running at the same condition as it did last time, and ran with some pretty decent horses. That race looked okay compared to the rest of the races in here. You're going to get it's 4 to 1 in the book. I mean, 4-1 looks way better than 4-5 on a horse that's run basically the same type of speed figures. We'll see if this horse gets the lead. I know Brisnet seems to think that this horse is kind of the pace in this race, and there doesn't seem to be any horses that are going to really be gunning for the lead. But I think one of the three or the six are going to be on the lead, and I'm going to want to take both of those here.
So I agree with you on Storm Andy. Storm Andy is my top pick. One thing before we go any further, there is talk of some precipitation in the forecast on Thursday and Friday in Ozone Park, New York. So we may well have some moisture in the track. And that's a big reason why I like Storm Andy. That race two back in the slop at Aqueduct was pretty darn good. Aqueduct is not Gulfstream. Aqueduct is a slow, tiring track. So when you see early fractions of 22 and 3 and 46 and 1, they're moving, especially for maiden 20 level horses. This one I thought ran very well to be third that day, was beaten 5.5 lengths, but first start in 3 months, I think there was plenty to like. The race last time out didn't really get going early on, probably wanted to be a little bit closer to the pace. I'm thinking there's going to be some moisture in the track. And that bottom side pedigree, Josh, when you see Tail of the Cat, that is a world class mud influence. I think Storm Andy is the most likely winner. I do need to use Sound Spooky simply for one reason. And if that horse does not run well, then it's on the dead to me list. First time Lasix. That's a big equipment change for that one. If I play smaller tickets where I'm trying to leverage my stronger opinions, the three would probably be a single for me. On the caveman ticket that I'm going to give out because I put a caveman ticket together, I didn't go grid. Sorry, Ed DeRosa. I used the two and the three. If you go back to the six, my issue with the six is that, yes, steady progress ran very well last time out over a fast track. The first two races, tracks that had some moisture in it, nowhere near as well, at least on buyer numbers. On Briz speed figures, they look comparable. But on buyer numbers, you see a 33 and a 32, followed by a 46 over fast going. I don't know if that was a one time thing and regression is coming at fourth asking for a fairly inexperienced horse. I don't know if this horse just can't stand up in the mud. I'm against steady progress. I think Storm Andy is the most likely winner, but I'm going to use Sound Spooky here. I've got a single elsewhere on the ticket. If I wind up needing to make do with an even money favorite in the first leg, I'll make do with that. But I do think Storm Andy is the most likely winner. And if Storm Andy drifts up from that 3-1 morning line price, I think that's an overlay in the win pool.
I can't believe you're going to use a 4-5 and another horse in that race, but
There are some times where you just need to get out of the leg. And also, I'm against a couple of favorites
okay.
elsewhere in the sequence, including one in race number two, which is one of these races that, if you've been following me for any length of time, when I am hosting a podcast or doing a handicapping seminar, I love these races where people that have watched a lot, and I mean a lot of film and handicapped a lot of races, see things completely differently. My colleague is singling a 5-2 morning line favorite that I'm trying to beat.
Yeah, I just thought that that blue paint gets out there on the front end, and I might get a little loose in this spot. There didn't seem to be a lot of space speed in this race. Um, it's tough in these types of races when you see. Uh, it's tough when you see these horses that just haven't won in a long time. The horse like the two horse, for example, at two back at least has a win, but was leaving the Rob Atras barn. They changed tactics. They tried to get on the lead and, you know, um, got a really easy lead, uh, and just folded. So I tried looking at these other horses, trying to see where the pace was going to come from, and I just kind of landed on the three in this spot. I did have another horse that I did kind of like. Um, I'm not really sure how I'm going to play this yet, but my lone A is the three here. Blue Paint. I just thought this is the horse that's going to get the lead. Has run consistent speed figures, and they seem to fit with the rest of the field in here. So, probably taking a little bit of a risk. That this might be, maybe this is a vulnerable favorite here. Um, but the other horse I did look at was the 6 Prairie Fire
And I
here.
didn't like that one at all either. This is wonderful.
Yeah. So the Prairie Fire, who had run some really, really nice races, if you look back in the PPs, very popular in the claim box, just going back and forth, bouncing all over the place, and seemingly running pretty consistently, even bouncing through all these barns. Was Linda Rice, Charlie Baker, Bruce Brown, back to Charlie Baker, Merkton got in there, Linda Rice got back in there, and now it lands in the barn of Dylan Clark, winless on this meet. Um, Brisnett's got this really weird stat that Dylan Clark going sprint, then route is winning at 19% clip. It's a very, very specific stat that probably doesn't mean much. But I thought that those back races look very, very good here. So I thought that this might be another one that, maybe kind of inherits the lead, um, depending on what these other horses do. And I know you were talking about the off going. This horse has run some pretty decent races on the off going. So I was interested in this 6. I'll probably end up including in a ticket in this horse will make tickets. I just don't know how I'm going to structure it yet. But those are the 2 horses I was kind of keying in on in this race. Andrew, where were you looking here?
Sure. So, going to why I'm not a huge fan of blue paint. First of all, the Cantermassy barn has been a little chilly at this Aqueduct meet. You take a look at the numbers on DRF, it says 2 of 23, just 9%. And I look at the local record, Josh. I see some okay races, but I see 0 for 6 at the Big A. And I just don't think blue paint is the kind of horse she is on the Parks Monmouth circuit at Aqueduct. And with that in mind, while she does drop in class a little bit, there are horses with some back class in this group. This is a good $20,000 claiming race with a bunch of horses that, if you've been following the New York circuit, you're going to recognize. My top pick is the Entry, trained by Jeffrey Engelhart. Number 1, Indian Bella, and number 1A, Viridia, have both won 11 races. Indian Bella's run 47 times. Viridia's won 11 of 44. These are horses that show up like clockwork, and more often than not, they run very, very well. Indian Bella goes second off the layoff, came back and ran an okay second behind Viridia last time out. That race on January 15th, I thought was a decent one. And if you look at the races Indian Bella ran in the early part of 2022, you see a couple of really nice performances, including a second in an overnight stakes race here at Aqueduct. I think there's a lot to like with Indian Bella in particular. And then you look at that one's entry mate, Viridia. Well, she's won 7 of 25 here at Aqueduct, including a win last time out at this distance. So I think there's plenty to like there. I think you get 2 contenders for the price of 1. And I think that's the most appealing alternative to the likely chalk that I'm trying to beat. Also going to use a couple of others. Number 2, Valorand, I think goes back to the right level. They stepped this one up in class last time out to a starter allowance event where that one was probably just a little bit too deep for this 5-year-old daughter of McLean's Music. Carlos Martin's a very good trainer that's had some success at this meet. Frankie Pennington is coming up from Parks to ride. I think there's plenty to like there. And I'll also talk up number 5, Mariah's Fortune, who has been running against starter allowance companies since being claimed by Rudy Rodriguez back in July at Saratoga. If this one repeats the race she ran 2 back in the slop at Parks, I think she's got a big shot. This one's shown a fair amount of talent in her career, Josh. It was not long ago she was 13-1 in the grade 3 fantasy at Oaklawn Park last spring. When she's on her game, she's pretty good. And we know she's very good going the 1 mile distance. She beat starter allowance foes back in August at Saratoga. I'm going 1-2-5 in here, trying to beat the 5-2 morning line favorite that I just don't think is all that legitimate. I look at this horse and I see a runner that desperately would prefer if this race was at Parks.
Fair enough. I'll take your money.
At least one of us is going to look pretty stupid after this is over because we've talked about 5 horses in this 7 entry field and we have nothing in common.
Yeah. So when the 7, it's cold into here, runs back to February 24th's humongous figure, we'll all look really really dumb.
Or number 4, Gringotts, who went 0 for 15 in 2022, breaks the schneid. We're all going to look pretty stupid.
Race 3, we're gonna be going another maiden race here. State bred maiden 70K. We're gonna be going a mile on the dirt. And your morning line favorite is Spirit of St. Louis, number 3 here, 2-1 for Chad Brown. My note just says turf in big old letters here. Um, I, I mean, I guess they just didn't know where to run it, and they're gonna try and run here. But this is a hard fade for me. This is definitely not going to be a horse that's going to be on any of my tickets. I have 3 A's in this race. Um, but Andrew, why don't you start us off here? Where did you kind of land here?
Sure. I'm not impressed by the horses that have run before that will likely take money. My fate is I want nothing out of the January 19th race that number 2 Central Pride and number 7 Rafua come out of. I was not impressed by that race at all whatsoever. And I look at those 2 horses. I see one horse that's 0 for 11. I see one horse that's 0 for 10. If either of those 2 horses win for the first time, it'll be without me on them. I think Spirit of St. Louis is going to drift up a little bit from that morning line price. I know trainer Chad Brown will likely move money. I think Spirit of St. Louis will be favored, but I don't think it's going to be prohibitive. I think he's going to be 5-2, 3-1. And the pedigree makes a lot of sense. You see Medaglia d'Oro out of a Lemon Drop Kid mare. Yes, maybe this horse wants turf, but I also think maybe this horse just wants to go long, and they didn't want to debut this horse going 6 furlongs. They wanted to debut this horse going a little bit longer. And the work tab shows that a horse is coming around. I see the February 10th work, 6th fastest of 69 at the distance. Hi, Coots. How you doing? Um, I'll be using that horse, but there's 2 bombs in here, Josh, that I very much am intrigued by. Number 5, Tiebreaker, has run twice. We haven't seen him since October. He's 12-1 on the morning line. Find the speed in here. I think there's a real chance Tiebreaker makes the lead and gets brave first off the geld for a barn that doesn't have many horses, but a barn that, as you can see in the Briz past performances, if you're watching this on YouTube, is hitting at 36%. I think there's a fair bit to like in here. Maybe this one needs the race, and I'd be a little bit less enthusiastic if this one was going to go off at 5-1, 6-1. I see 12-1 on the morning line, and I see a horse that went pretty fast early on last time out over this Aqueduct surface. I'm intrigued. I'll be using Tiebreaker, and I will also be using number 8 and Sand, who is a maiden but crossed the wire first last time out, albeit against much weaker company. Still, though, the last 2 races represent a horse that sure seems to be figuring things out. Was disqualified from purse money last time. I don't know the circumstances behind that. I do know that this one makes a trainer switch, still to a pretty capable barn that's won some races. And I see another horse that will likely be showing some speed. The outside draw should give Frankie Pennington plenty of options in this spot. I'm 3, 5, and 8 in here. I understand why you're fading Spirit of St. Louis, and it's entirely possible that that horse goes off at 3-5 and doesn't run a jump. But I don't see a whole lot of talent in the horses that have run recently here at Aqueduct. And I just don't have any confidence in, especially the horses coming out of that January 19th race, where the 2, 3, and 4 finishers all wind up coming back in this race. I think that's a negative key race, and I'm going against those runners.
It was for a. They found phenylbutazone in the post-race sample of Aiton sand.
I'm not a scientist, but that doesn't sound legal.
Well, they had a very very harsh penalty of $1,000 fine and $10 10 day suspension. So
Wow.
that'll
How will
that'll
they
show
ever survive and be deterred?
that'll show her to never do that again. Um, okay, my Google's not working. I was going to try and search what that drug does, but I agree with you on the eight and sand. Um, the horse was improving, made a really big jump as soon as the horse got to Aqueduct. So ran two nice races at Aqueduct. Maybe just prefers a surface here. So although they did run at back, which is Aqueduct as well. But I don't know. I just think that the horse kind of figured it out. Has run two really nice races. And yeah, we'll see here Munnings, especially if we get a little bit of moisture in the ground. I think that's only going to improve the eight's chances here. Um, you know, I I know you don't like the two from that last race. I kind of like the horse here, mostly on the barn change, coming back to or coming into Rob Atris's barn. He does very well second half off the claim, second start. So I'm kind of playing that angle. I generally don't like betting these types that have taken forever to break their maiden, but at this horse, ran really, really nice races, sprinting to start in 2022. And, maybe just needed this barn change. And I don't know. I was trying to look for alternatives outside the three. The other horse that I was interested in is this six for Charlie Baker, Squid Gamer, 10-1, first time starter. So it's the other first time starter in this race. Um, Violence is just the definition of win early pedigree. So I'm kind of just taking a gamble that we maybe get a little bit of a little bit of a spark here first time with Violence. More of a sprinter pedigree on top, but on the bottom, more than ready out of a more than ready dam. Who's got four winners from five starters, including a stakes winner. So there's something here on the breeding side. Once again, you look at the horses that have run. I'm not interested in the seven, which I know is coming out of that same race that Central Pride's coming out of. But the Peter Walder barn has just been ice cold. So you know, I'm just going to fade anything. I'm going to fade that horse out of that race. Take the other one coming out of it. So I landed on 268 in here, and I don't really think I had any other. Yeah, I didn't have any B's in this race. Those are going to be the only three horses I use in this race.
I get the logic behind using the first time starter there. Charlton Baker's record with inexperienced horses is what scared me off, but he's a very talented horseman. And if this one isn't ready this time, chances are he's going to take a pretty big step forward next time. So if you like him today, even if that horse doesn't necessarily run well, keep that horse in your stable, Mel. Chances are he's going to take a step forward second or third time out.
So he might not be ready, but what? He's more than ready. Do I boo myself?
Yes. If you didn't boo yourself, you would never get to boo me again.
Race 4 here at Aqueduct. Be going a mile. Nice claiming race. And yeah, there's an 8-5 favorite in this race. Complete agenda for Linda Rice with Jose Lascano aboard.
You don't need to scroll down any further, Josh.
You don't think I need to scroll down any further?
No. Complete agenda is my best bet of this sequence. Three back was claimed by Linda Rice after running second in a mile and an eighth, 40,000 non-winners of two life event. The winner of that race was a horse named Curbstone, who won by 6 lengths and came back to win again. Complete Agenda went straight into starter allowance company on January 7th and won that race like a very good horse. Went last to first, won going away beneath Jose Lizcano. They tried him in a non-winners of one allowance race on January 14th, just 7 days later, and the front runners that day never came back. I know because I really liked Little Demon that day, who wound up winning and paying about $30. Thank you, David Jacobson. Appreciate that. But the top two certainly ran that way all around the track, and Complete Agenda never had a chance to do what he really wanted to do. In this particular race, Josh, I think there's plenty of speed. And I think this is a much softer group than the one that he went up against last time out. I love the fact that Jose Lizcano hops back aboard. He is Linda Rice's first call rider at this meet. I don't usually love closers breaking from the rail, but I just think Complete Agenda is much the best in this particular field. He's 8-5 on the morning line. I think he may well drift down to even money 4-5 by the time all is said and done in this particular race. He's a single for me, and I imagine he's going to be a pretty popular single on a lot of other tickets.
Yeah, I had a bit of a hard time with this race. I, the one definitely looks like the horse to beat here. Um, the two, Doctor Love, I have written as a B with a question mark. I don't know what I'm going to do with this horse. This horse also seems to fit. Um, and you know, yeah, any of the races, the last three races, I think here definitely fit. Um, my question with Complete Agenda, it's just that little bit of regression since the claim. But like you said, maybe it's just, hey, they ran the horse back 7 days. Maybe just you cross the line through that last race, and it looks a lot better. I had a little bit of a hard time taking a short price on the one because of that, but I don't know, kind of like you said. I mean, it really does look like the horse to beat. The two horse, like I said, I kind of looked at, um, but ultimately I couldn't take the one and the two in this race. I prefer the one. The two might make a ticket as a B, or maybe if the one scratches or there's any kind of nonsense, maybe stuff changes. I was a little interested in the two. I can't bet the one and the two in this spot. Um, but the six horse
My second choice.
from another mother, um, you know, I didn't. I kind of disagreed with you on the speed. I didn't think there was much speed in this race. So I thought that there's a chance that this six just gets out, goes, and just doesn't get caught. Now, I know if you kind of look back at the last couple races, I'm looking at the wrong. Looking at the wrong horse. I know if you look back at the last couple races, hasn't necessarily gotten the lead off the bat. Um, but with there being less speed in this race than I think might have seen in some of the other races, um, I don't know. I think that this horse has got a chance to just get out there and go. Um, Dylan Davis stays aboard again. Ray Handel is winning at 25% on the meet. And I just think that this horse is going to have a bit of a pace advantage here. Yeah, I'm going to go with the six here. I'm going to use the six, and I'm going to use the one. Um, the two I have written as a B. That would really, using the two, I think, is just like a gutless move. But I don't know. Maybe we'll see how I'm feeling on Friday. And like I said, we'll see about scratches. So horse I'm interested in, but I just don't think you can use the two if you use the one. But that's just me.
My one hesitation with the pace situation is yes, From Another Mother has a lot of speed and showed a lot of talent, by the way, at ages 2 and 3. If you go really far back in the past performances, you see some really nice horses in those running lines. You see a horse that ran third behind My Prankster, second time out at Saratoga. You see a horse that chased Mo Donegal a couple of different times. You see horses like Morello and Witt. Those are good horses. This horse had pretty high expectations at one point, but number 3, Irish Exit, I think has to go early. I think you have a horse that's going to stretch back out to a distance of ground. And the two times this one has gone a distance of ground have been at Parks And he's been on the lead because he'd been otherwise primarily running in sprint races. I think Irish Exit has enough early speed to be able to force a little bit of a pace battle with From Another Mother. And I think that's going to wind up putting forth a situation where Complete Agenda can sit back and make the run that he wants to make. I'm singling the one. I may very well play a cold 1-6 exacta because I do think the 6 is going to outrun those 6-1 morning line odds. But Complete Agenda is my single in the early pick five. I wish I could get more creative than singling an 8-5 shot. That's probably going to go a little lower than that, but just strikes me as far and away the most likely winner in this sequence. And if that's the way you feel about a horse, you have to single him regardless of the price.
All right. Well, we're going to close this out with a 6 furlong maiden sprint.
This is a fun race here, Josh. There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell that you're having fun because you have like half the field in this race.
I do exactly half the field. I have four horses going here. Um, the far outside horses are the ones that are probably going to take a fair amount of money. Number 7, Fabulously Funny, and number 8, Spelterini, ran second and third last time out in that January 7th race at Aqueduct. Spelterini is a horse that debuted at Saratoga, came flying late in the debut, and was a horse that a lot of people put on their watch list because of that pedigree. You see Bernardini out of a Smart Strike mare. In theory, this horse is supposed to get better, right? 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 Not so far, although that second place finish last time out was not bad. And I do think Spelterini is going to go favored once again here, despite the fact that Fabulously Funny is the 2-1 morning line favorite. I'm using them both, but I don't think they tower over the rest of this field. I've got two other price horses in here. Number 1, Wonder Girl, last time out had a bunch of different excuses. She was 67-1 that day, right? You're not expecting a lot out of a 67-1 shot. She didn't break well. She wound up getting slammed going around the turn. She still showed a fair amount of interest and ran fourth that particular day. I think she's going to move forward in this spot, and I don't think she has to move forward an otherworldly amount in order to contend in this particular race because I just don't think there's a lot of proven form signed on. There are a lot of horses that like running second and third, but figure wise, it's not like it's a gigantic leap, and it's not like it's an insane expectation for a horse that had trouble first time out to go from a 47 by your speed figure to something in the low to mid 60s, which may very well be enough to win the race at 15-1. I've got to use that horse. And I'll also use another second time starter in the form of number 6, Valentina, who dueled last time out, wound up fading, finishing fifth for a barn whose first time starters generally are not fully cranked. Rudy Rodriguez's horses tend to need a race or two to get going. I'm expecting a forward move. Jose Gomez rides back. He likely had a couple of options in here. If I get to this particular race, I want to cash. I'm going 4 deep. 1, 6, 7, and 8 for me. Fabulously Funny and Spelterini. Could they win? Yeah. I see 2-1 and 5-2, and that just hits me as too short on both of them, at least from a win only proposition.
Yeah, I the 8 Spelterini is my top pick in this race. I would be more than happy to take 5-2 on this horse. But like you said, we probably will come down a little bit, vie for favoritism with the 7 here. Um, the 7 is the type of horse that I normally like to bet. Lightly raced, ran really well in debut. You assume there's going to be some improvement there, but Tony Dutro not exactly known for winning second races, and he's been pretty cold in this meet. So I like I said, I have another fade on this one. Maybe I'm looking too much into connections and percentages here, but I just think once again, if you look at two short price horses, I'm trying to maximize the amount I'm going to get out of this, and I just can't use both these horses. So my top pick is the 8. The sevens probably would probably be my second, maybe third choice in this race. Um, but a horse that you didn't mention that I kind of like,
What the
uh,
heck am I supposed to do with this horse, Josh?
the Swanson Lake.
Yeah, because I knew that's where you were going. I see the workouts. They're fine.
Hmm.
I see the pedigree. Pedigree to me hints at more miler two turn type, especially you see Scat Daddy down the bottom. And also, if this horse was in Michael McCarthy's A string, why is it here? I've got questions and I'm really hoping you can enlighten me on this.
I have no idea why this horse is here. I wish I could answer and tell you why this horse is here. I like, why would this horse not be, I don't know, debuting at a mile in Santa Anita on the turf? You know, like I have no idea why this horse is
This
here.
horse could be anything.
Yep.
This horse could wind up winning by 6 or 7 and looking like a blue chip prospect for a trainer in Michael McCarthy that knows how to handle a really good horse. City of Light, Rombauer, others. Good trainer. But I have absolutely no idea what to make of this horse. If it turns out that I wind up dealing with scratches in some of the earlier legs, maybe I throw this horse in just as a hedge. But I see a couple of horses that I just liked a little bit better and didn't have a lot of questions about. It is one of those things where you start thinking, okay, if you don't have this horse on your ticket and the first flash of the tote board sees this horse at 9 to 5, you probably want to hedge. But
Yeah.
again, if this horse is as talented as the workout times tell me it is, why is she here?
Do you know the ownership, BG Stables?
No.
Okay. I mean, maybe they're local. I don't know. Um,
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's not a New York bred, so there's no New York bred incentives there. I'm just, I don't know. And that was one of the things where I'm like, okay, do I want to play a $45 ticket? That's a little bit steep for me. I try to cap most of my tickets at $40. If I go a little bit over, that's fine. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But it's just one of those instances where I don't know. And I see 4 to 1, and I'm thinking that horse could win by 7 or 8 or finish up the track, and I wouldn't be surprised. And if that's the case, isn't 4 to 1 just a little bit low?
BG Stables' last horse was run at Turf Paradise.
Then no, not New York based. What the
Has
heck's going on here?
I don't know, has this horse is entered here? Has a horse entered at Golden Gate, Santa Anita, Golden Gate?
I don't know what's going on here.
I don't know either, but I I had a um similar question to you as to what this horse is doing here. But what I can say, and what it looks like, this horse is stationed at Churchill Downs.
Yeah.
So maybe the plan was to run this horse at Turfway, because I know
Yeah.
Michael
And
McCarthy does, and Turfway's maiden races are. I mean, they have nice fat purses. So
and with the pedigree, you see Constitution up top, you see Scat Daddy on the bottom. It's an okay synthetic pedigree.
yeah, but this is a win early pedigree. This, Constitution at 18% first time start sire. Scat Daddy also was a 16% first time start sire. Um, just great breeding. This is the first runner out of this dam, so we don't really know what the dam has done yet. But um, yeah, I don't know. This horse is very intriguing in the spot. I have him as an A, and I have Spelterini. The other horse that I might use is the 6, Valentina, which is the horse that you kind of talked about. Horse got out on the front end, and ended up fading a little bit. But if you look at the notes, the horse was a little fractious in the gate. Probably expended a bunch of energy, jumping out on the gate. Who knows what else happened?
First time starter, that'll
Yep.
happen.
So I'll take a shot on some improvement second time out. Gets a cleaner start. Not that far off from, I think, the 7 and 8. and you're getting a pretty good price here. So the 6 is my lone B in this spot. I'm the key mostly on the 4 and the 8 in here, and yeah, we got a couple tickets here.
We do.
Um, so Andrew, you got a $36 play here. 50 cent pick five, two
Yep.
three, with 125, with 358, with 1, with 1678.
Yep. $36 ticket, leaning on complete agenda in race number 4. My best bet of the sequence and probably my most likely winner of the day. It's a good card. It's a good pool. You're probably going to wind up with close to $1 million in that pool. It's a lot of fun to get involved on days like that when you know there's dead money in the pool. It's going to be a good sequence. There's a lot of different ways you can go without spending a whole bunch of money, as I think we've evidenced here, because there are horses I talked about that Josh didn't mention. There are horses Josh mentioned that I didn't talk about. It's a fun sequence, and I don't think there's going to be a lot in the way of prohibitive favorites. You might see some horses that are a little bit on the shorter priced side, but I don't think there's going to be that 1 to 5, 2 to 5, 3 to 5 type horse. I think you're going to wind up able to pursue a little bit of value with this sequence. I'm leaning on complete agenda and basically hoping I can get a couple of horses home around that one.
Yeah, and my ticket is a little bit skinnier. This is what I would call my all A's ticket.
Yeah.
I have a couple of B's. We'll see what scratches and stuff, and I'll play around with them a little bit. But my all A ticket here is a 3-6, with 3, with 268, with 1-6, with 4-8. That's a $12 play for 50 cents. Obviously, I will probably have it at least for $2, if not more. And then obviously I'll scale down with some B's and stuff. But yeah, I'm really leaning on that 3 in the second leg. And in the fourth leg, I am using that short price favorite, the one that is your single. But I'm also using the 6 horse in that race, and maybe it spices it up a little bit. I really do like that 6 horse in that spot. So that was one of those places where I couldn't just use the short price. But yeah, it's a fun sequence. We'll see, we'll see how big this pool gets.
I mean, I'm thinking it's going to be close to $1 million, something in the 800,000 to $900,000 range for sure. And for a Friday at Aqueduct, that's pretty darn good. And by the way, remember, 3 pick 4 sequences in New York now. So bunch of different places in which you can spend some money, bunch of different places in which you can make some money. I looked through the rest of the card earlier this afternoon. It's not a bad card. There's a couple of really wide open races later on in the program. The late pick 4 field sizes, you've got 8, 8, 9, and 12. So potential for some fun handicapping sequences there too.
When do we usually get turf back at Aqueduct?
Usually you don't get turf back until about April if you
Okay.
wind up getting lucky, basically until after Gulfstream is done. And there have been some years where you wind up not being able to get back on turf until you get back to Belmont. But
Mm.
we'll see for sure. But the main track at Aqueduct, just so everybody knows, it is a slow, tiring racetrack. So horses cutting back in distance, you might want to move up, especially given the way the track has been playing the last couple of weeks. You'll wind up seeing mile times of 144, 145. Yeah, it's a slow, demanding surface. Not a lot of horses take to it, but the horses that do, you wind up doing pretty well on. And by the way, with the way that track is configured, it's very similar to this place right back here. See the way horses are running, file it away for the summer.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. Obviously, check us out at wrong_lead on Twitter.
All
We
the
will be
buttons, all the buttons, all the
all the
buttons.
buttons. We'll be live. We'll be live Thursday night. So tonight doing Risen Star. Taking a look at the Risen Star card, and probably taking a break from our I don't know. Maybe we'll still bet. I have no idea. We'll figure it out. But I'm just forever gonna sit at hundreds of dollars and not win this thing, and it's gonna be very frustrating. Last week, Caleb and Mark, my horse, was probably winning by 3 lengths at the top of the stretch, and they rooted my horse home with just the worst intentions,
No, no,
thinking that,
yeah.
and they mushed me.
Oh,
Yeah,
they willfully mushed you?
absolutely. They don't want to pay up on this bet.
They willingly mushed their co-host.
Yeah,
Hit the boo button. Hit
this
the
is
boo button
war.
one time for me.
This is war. So, but
My
uh,
God.
but yeah, Andrew, what do you got going on this week? Anything?
Going to Hawaii on Saturday is going to be fun. Much needed vacation, especially after the events of earlier this week. That's for darn sure. So that'll be a lot of fun. We fly out Saturday morning. We fly back the following Saturday night. It's going to be really cool. We went the first time last year. Absolutely fell in love with the place. Let me take a quick gander at the weather forecast that I have had saved in my phone for several weeks. Josh, currently in Honolulu, 72 degrees and partly cloudy skies. The high temperatures for Saturday through Monday: 76, 77, 77, 75, 76, 76, 76. Going to be fun. Going to very much enjoy that.
Isn't that the same as California?
Not Northern California. Southern
Mm.
California, maybe. Northern California actually has seasons. So, yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. It's always a blast to be there. We've got our flight landing at about 11:30 Hawaii time. We have lunch reservations at Duke's Waikiki Beach, right in the center of Waikiki Beach at 1:30 after we get our bags, get our car, park the car, get checked in, do all that fun stuff. And we've got a bunch of other things planned throughout the week. We're going kayaking one day. We're seeing a couple of places around the island. It's so much fun being able to do this stuff. And given everything that's been going on the last week with my car getting hit and my fiance on a week-long field trip with a whole bunch of fifth graders,
Hmm.
it is much, much needed.
Well, that's awesome. Enjoy your time off. I am still in search of a co-host for next week, but I'll figure it out.
Filling the shoes of a Beamy Award winner, not an easy thing to do. And I love holding it right here because the sun is going right off the star there.
All right. We'll catch you guys later.
Take it easy, everybody.